Good evening. A young woman has told ITV News Central how she was tricked into going abroad and then threatened into a forced marriage as a teenager. Police say what happened to Fozia Rashid over the school summer break is all too common.
Forced marriages in the West Midlands are among the highest in the country, coming in at second after London. Birmingham recently saw the country's first conviction of a mother who forced her 13-year-old daughter into marriage. Our Tarabi reports.
The school summer holidays is a peak time for children to be forced into marriages. This government campaign video is trying to raise awareness of the issues surrounding the crime. For Fozia Rashid, what was meant to be a summer holiday in Pakistan quickly turned into something much more sinister. The stress of the ordeal permanently damaging her eyes. At 16, she was told her grandparents were dying and wanted to see her. But when she arrived in Pakistan, she was to prepare for a wedding. Hers.
I knew pretty early on something's not right. But I suppose I was naive, too trusting, but it's your family. Why would you not trust your family?
Fozia's family in Pakistan had identified her as a potential bride without her parents knowing. Her uncle had chosen a husband for her, and she was to marry him. No questions asked. Gripped by fear and left with no other choice, Fozia was forced to marry her cousin.
I was to tell my parents that it's something I want to go ahead with. I was afraid. For myself, for my family. From that moment, it changed my whole life. Everything had changed. I was no longer that 16-year-old Fozia. It had all changed. I still sometimes feel like I'm at the school gates and I never really left.
Fozia eventually came home, but it didn't end there. When she finally told her parents, she gave them an ultimatum. They decided to stand by her and severed family ties.
They made the decision to cut off from the entire family, so the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. There's a lot of them. It was a very, very difficult time for them.
Fozia's story is one of thousands, most we won't ever hear about. In 2017, the government's forced marriage unit provided support to 1,196 cases in the UK, 172 of which were in the West Midlands, making it the second worst region in the country. Pakistan was found to be the country with the highest number of cases in 2017, a total of 439, but this is a decrease of almost 8% since 2016. The biggest shift has occurred in Somalia, where the number of cases has increased, a total of 91 cases last year. West Midlands Police told us they dealt with 447 reports from January 2012 to September 2017. And through Freedom of Information requests, other forces in the region revealed reports of 108 referrals. It was right here at Birmingham Crown Court where the first successful prosecution of its kind in England took place. A mother was found guilty of forcing her then 13-year-old daughter into marrying a man twice her age. And although it's hailed as a landmark development, the fight against forced marriage is not over yet. Forced marriages occur throughout the whole year, but the summer holidays are a particularly vulnerable time for victims.
Right now, across Britain, there will be many children and young people who are being prepared for engagements and marriages. They will happen in the summer holidays. They will happen in Britain and they will be taken out of this country and they will be happening abroad.
Jasvinder Singh is the founder of Karma Nirvana, a national charity which started in Derby. It supports victims and survivors of honour-based abuse and forced marriages. At a talk in Leicester, she explained their helpline receives up to 850 calls per month. But Jasvinder believes reports of the abuse is not a true reflection of what is taking place across the country.
If I start to see a decrease in reporting, I would be very concerned. We're still scratching the surface and we need to see an increase in reporting, just as we do with other forms of abuse, because what we're doing is we're encouraging victims to come forward.
Almost forced into a marriage herself and now disowned by her family, Jasvinder knows only too well the risks and the difficult choices victims and survivors are faced with.
So the choice is this: overnight you could lose your whole family by standing up for your rights and asserting your right to an education, the right to choose who you want to marry. And that is a really difficult choice to make, I have to say.
A lot of our work is out there in the communities and working with professionals, because we really recognise that the police can't tackle this on their own. Very often we are the very last agency that people will come to. And so we have to educate those around us to spot the signs. So people out there, neighbours, friends, colleagues, professionals, they're the ones who have to come forward to support that victim and let us know what's going on.
I really do make an appeal to the community leaders, the religious leaders, counsellors, etc. Come forward and talk to us, because nobody is doing this in the name of culture or religion or tradition. And we've got to start recognising and being responsible for the communities that we represent in that way.
If we look around, we're a country, we've had to actually tell parents you're committing a crime if you force your child into marriage. To have to actually do that, it makes you realise what kind of society we are and what have we allowed to happen.
A sentiment shared by many across the country. Awa Tarabi, ITV News.